Good podcast listeners. It is another episode of Cruzin with the Coaches, a conversation with Julie and Lee. In this episode, we talk about our theme of communication, but this time we talk about, is it better to be right or better to be heard and understood? We jump into that conversation coming up next. Hey, Live All Good podcast listeners, welcome back from that short break. This is a conversation with the coaches. Well, actually, Cruzin with the Coaches, a conversation with Julie and Lee. Yeah, I don't know how I messed that title up.
Yeah, we're all good.
Yeah,
we're all good.
Because it's a conversation, and it is with Julie and Lee. It's coaches, so there you go.
Awesome.
Co-host Julie Cruz, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Hanging in there, man. You know, we are nearing the end of September, and wow, just again, I think we said this a couple weeks ago, but like, where does the time go? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, before we get on with the episode, I just want to say that, man, a couple months ago we got some work done. Excuse me, we got some work done on our house, so. We got a patio put out front, and we got the backyard, if you will, in the city. We got the backyard, the outdoor space. We got that leveled and all that. And, man, it just makes such a difference to enjoy the outside a little bit more, you know?
Oh, yes.
There's so much more usable space. So, yeah, I just wanted to drop that out there. You know, not that I'm saying that we got it like that, but
and incoming my favorite season, I love fall, so that is a good time. Yeah.
So it's like perfect because, you know, it's not that heat from summer anymore, right?
Right.
But it's not freezing winter, and so yeah, you can kind of hang outside a little bit, you know. You still have coffee in the mornings out there, maybe even have a little beer or drink with the friends. Like, yeah, man, it's cool. You know, so I'm so happy to do it. It's tough to do that when you're in the city and you got a restricted space due to you know, row homes and stuff. But all good, folks, all good. So
now you have a nice space for a conversation.
Yeah, well, I don't know, because, man, you know, I know in the summer I heard the birds chirping sometimes. So I don't need the birds all up in our conversation, because then everybody listens to the birds and not us. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true.
Nah, it's all good, folks. We are happy to have you guys on another Wednesday. And before we jump into our conversation today, I want to go ahead and put out there that if there's listeners out there who are doing the homework that we give every episode, feel free. There's a link that is published with these episodes. You can leave a voice message. Okay, so feel free to leave a voice message with the homework and how it worked for you and what you did. And we'll go ahead and put it in like the subsequent episodes when we talk about it. Also, if you don't want to leave a voice message, you can always send an email to liveallgood44@gmail.com. Again, that is liveallgood44@gmail.com. And if you don't do that, go ahead to go ahead to the website, Live All Good, and go to the podcast page, and you can leave a comment there. We will find it, and that way we can go ahead and acknowledge those who are doing the work, who are doing homework, and keep that going. So hope that gives everybody some options to kind of interact with us, you know.
And we promise we won't be grading it.
and we'll be kind.
We'll be kind. Yes. It's always best to be kind.
Absolutely. So, Julie, man, let's jump into it. Let's you know, we've been having this underwritten theme through all the episodes with communication. right?
Mhm.
In some form or fashion, whether it's how to have these challenging conversations, or just overall, you got to be open to things, right?
Right.
So I'd kind of like to continue that a little bit. I want to drop a question here. Listeners, go ahead. This is for you to you know think about, and then we'll let Julie tackle this as well first. So the question is, in communication with anyone, what is more important? Is it more important for you to be right, or more important for you to be heard? Yeah.
I
So no,
yeah,
go ahead.
my thing would be to be heard and to be understood. I mean, it's not about being right because I'm not always right. I might have a way of thinking that makes sense to me because, of course, it's my thought.
Hmm.
But if someone else wants to share or give in some input and, help me understand maybe a different route, I don't know, it depends on what the conversation is about.
Sure,
But
sure.
if it's for me personally, if I'm trying to express how I'm personally feeling, then
Hmm.
obviously it's me wanting to be understood and
Yeah,
heard,
yeah.
rather than being right.
Being right.
Yeah.
Well, and I appreciate that, man. Like, thank you for acknowledging that. And just for the record, did I hear you say that you're not always right? Did I hear that on the?
No, I didn't say that. Crap, this
Well,
is recorded.
we'll, we'll go ahead. We'll go and scratch that from the record. It's
Okay,
cool.
okay.
It's cool.
Strike that. Strike that.
No, just messing with you. I do appreciate the acknowledgement about that, because so here's the thing, right, folks? In communication, and you're so right. I too agree that being heard or being understood is the way to go. Um, when you're when you're in communication and you're having a conversation about things, in just about every context, there we get in our own heads about stuff, right?
Right.
And so when we get in our own heads, we'll play the conversation out before we even have it with whoever. And so based on how we play it out, there's this need for us to be right about whatever it is we're going to say. And there that really does not leave room. Like, if you're trying to understand someone, then there's no room for being right and coming from a place of love to coexist.
Right.
And if you're going to come from a place of love, that's what opens the door for the safe space for someone to be heard and to be understood.
Hmm.
So yeah, but it happens all the time, right? Even in I can think of so many different situations where I've had a conversation with somebody and I'm already thinking about what the answer should be.
Right, right. I was just gonna say that. I'm like,
Hmm.
everyone talks about active listening, active listening. Okay,
Hmm.
how about let's do some actual listening?
That's that is the most accurate way to say it.
Yeah, because like
Yeah,
you're sitting
yeah.
there and you're listening. If you are listening to the person, you're actually hearing what they have to say.
Mhm.
And when you're hearing what they're saying, it you're taking it all in. And I think the key is responding in a way that lets them know you heard every word that they had to say.
That is absolutely key. I
Yes.
love it. I love how you just said that. Responding to let them know that you heard every word that they said.
Mm-hmm.
And so, folks, what does that look like? Exactly what Julie said. You actually want to repeat
Mm-hmm.
so if you repeat it, it's okay to say, "Hey, I want to make sure I heard this right. This is what I'm hearing." And then
Mm-hmm.
repeat it either in like your own words or exactly what they said, because then hearing it back, like being that mirror, they might say, "Oh, no, that's not really what I meant,"
Right.
and, and say, "Here, this is what. Let me see if I can explain it this way."
Hmm.
Or they may say, "Yes." That's spot on. That's exactly what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a great way to, I know we've talked about this in previous episodes, but that is, um, that's the way to be present when you're
Right.
in the conversation, you
Right.
know?
Because I know when I am my most emotional, or
Mhm.
let's call it passionate, when I am my most passionate about
I love the
something,
reframe.
and when I'm the most passionate about what it is I'm saying, I might say something that's coming off very aggressive. And when I
True.
hear someone actually tell me what they heard, I'm like, whoa, that's not what I meant. You know what I mean? And then it gives you, just like what you just said, the opportunity to reframe it, because you're like,
Yeah,
okay, wait a minute, that's not what I meant. What I meant was this.
absolutely. Absolutely. And because, like you said, and again, I love the word passion. Because yes, that is an emotion, and so yeah, if you're passionate about, like, if you care, right? If you give a damn,
Hmm.
you're
Right,
going to be passionate about what you're saying,
right.
because you want to connect and communicate in a way that that other person can take it.
Hmm.
And so, like you just said, I mean, it can come out in a way that's aggressive, and that can put the other person on the defense.
Right.
And so if they're on the defense, what happens when that starts? The wall starts to build up. No
Mhm.
one wants to be honest. No one wants to be vulnerable. Everybody starts to protect themselves.
Right.
And that's not really going to lead to a productive conversation.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's, man, a great reframe with emotional and passionate. That was
Yes.
awesome.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, like, seriously, folks, it's okay to be passionate. I know that over the years I've been told, you don't have to be so loud when you're talking about it. Why are you yelling? And I'm like, I'm not yelling. Oh, my bad.
Oh, ouch. Yes, I am.
So yeah, but and this is not the first time we've mentioned this, but you have to be open to hearing that feedback. You know,
Right. Right.
you got to be open to hearing that. That way, you start communicating in a way that the other person can hear it. You
Right.
know, but
Because
yeah,
if you're
it's. Go
if,
ahead.
if
Sorry.
if you're in a mature relationship
Mhm.
and you are giving, you you have to expect to receive some feedback. You know what I mean? You can't just
Mhm.
think you're going to give your delivery and that the other person is just going to, you want them to respond. Do you not?
Mhm.
Isn't
And
that the whole point?
yes. If they don't respond, then what's the point of having a conversation?
Exactly. Exactly. I could talk
And
to myself.
yeah, right? Well, it might feel like you are. And for those who weren't listening, for those who were in the back and couldn't hear that, a mature relationship.
Exactly.
So bookmark that, folks, because mm, I feel some teasing of homework.
Hmm.
So bookmark that, mature relationship. Bookmark that. And just to even touch on that real quick, right? We're not just speaking of, uh, um, a relationship that's marriage or dating, whatever. A relationship, even if you are a mature person, if you have a mature mindset, that's what we're talking about.
Right. Right.
That's the importance of whoever it is you're communicating with. You know, so love it, love it, love it. Um, I think we're gonna go ahead and jump to a break. Did you have something you want to add, or you good?
I'm good.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. Let's jump to a quick break, and we will come back and continue talking about this whole communication and what it actually looks like, what it feels like to be heard and to be understood instead of being right. Hang tight, folks. We'll be right back. All right, folks, welcome back from the short break. This is Cruising with the Coaches, the conversation with Julian Lee, a podcast that is part of the Live All Good family of podcasts. This this podcast, the Cruising with the Coaches, is every other Wednesday. So we appreciate you listening and tuning in. We appreciate being part of your Wednesday. Get you through the week, hump day, right?
Yep, I'm dead.
I was about to go with the commercial, like, oh, Mike, what day is it? Mike. Sorry. Too easy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Too easy. But before the break, guys, we were talking about continuing our communication theme and really talking about, like, what do you want more in communication when you're in conversation? Do you want to be right, or do you want to be heard and understood? And we mentioned that we both agree and think that, yeah, it's more important to be understood, and really dove into that.
Mhm.
So now let's really kind of peel back a layer or two, and, like, what does that look like? How do conversations look and feel when either you're trying to be right, or how does that look and feel when you're trying to be understood and heard, and maybe not, right?
Mhm.
So you have any examples, or you want me to go ahead and lay one out first?
You go ahead with a good example.
Okay, all right. No pressure, no pressure.
No pressure.
Right. No. But so this is what comes to mind. I was thinking about this, and this is in terms of the workplace, right?
Okay.
So a lot of times, as an employer, or even more specifically, like as a supervisor or a manager, right? You you are communicating with the employees directly under you, your team, whatever that is, and you have a vision of how X is supposed to go, right?
Mhm.
How the operation of something is supposed to be. And so you start to communicate that, and you have conversations. Hey, you know what? Do this, do that. And okay, maybe there's room for interpretation from the team.
Mhm.
And so I guess the example of being right is telling that employee, well, no, do it this way, right?
Mhm.
But are you really empowering that employee? Because maybe in that conversation, if your goal was to be heard and understood, and what we just mentioned before the break was you have to be ready for that feedback as well.
Mhm.
And maybe, just maybe, that the employee who is doing that project or doing that work on a daily basis, maybe they have some feedback that is valuable to how you want something done.
Mhm.
So you have to actually listen. I love that. Not
Mhm.
actively listen, but actually listen. And instead of it being your way or being right for that conversation, actually empower that employee, empower them to say, oh, okay, I never thought of it in those terms. Let's see how we can implement that, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Because that's a productive conversation.
It is.
And, and then what that turns into is the employee probably feels a bit more ownership, but they also they feel heard, they feel understood, and anything of that nature is good for the productivity, right?
Right. Because what you created at that point is investment. You've invested in that employee,
Hmm.
correct? And
Absolutely.
then now the employee feels invested in the project.
Hmm.
And so what's going to end up happening? You're going to have a great payoff for both of you.
That,
Are you
mm,
not?
that sounds like a win-win. Sounds
Right.
like a win-win.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, I think that is a really good example of how to manage what you're doing. Is it more important to be right, or more important to be heard and understood?
Hmm.
And then when we mention that, the heard and understood is not always from the person initiating the conversation,
Correct.
you know?
Yep.
So yeah. But that's I just think that's so important. Again, it becomes a win-win. It empowers somebody, You could talk about examples of parenting, whatever. There's so many examples, but that one really rings a bell as we're still kind of dealing with what the new work situation looks like. You
Hmm.
know, I know a lot of offices are kind of in a hybrid mode. Um, and so I think that's an important conversation for employers and managers and supervisors to really be cognizant of.
Right.
Listen, actually listen, and see how you can balance that out.
Yeah, because communication is the key, especially now.
Oh man, big time, more than ever, more than
Yeah,
ever. Yeah.
yeah.
So, Ms. Cruz, any examples of I I'm afraid because you have that laugh. So
Because this is ringing in my head, and it's so funny because I've been in a situation. So I'm going to throw some personal thing into this, where
okay.
I've said, because I'm a very strong personality, and I own that I have a strong personality. But like when I come to a point where it's like, when I do this, I would appreciate or need you to do this, okay?
Hmm.
And so like I am familiar with myself that I have no problem saying that to someone, okay,
Sure,
in
sure.
hopes that next time we won't have the same outcome of whatever it is that just happened.
Hmm.
But I guess what you don't want is for the communication to then come back to you being, well, last time this happened you said you wanted, so here I am. It's like, whoa, whoa. Okay. Yeah.
I say nothing on this end. I say nothing.
So it's just interesting. I mean, it's just always be, I guess, you know, with who you are, it's fragile. It's fragile to be vulnerable with someone.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
just be aware of who it is that you are expressing what your needs are when it comes to
Mhm.
communication.
No,
Because
you're so right. Because
yeah,
so it's like speaking to that point, right? That's very critical because not everybody
is receptive.
responds. Yeah, not every response.
I'm just saying.
So what we're saying, folks, is some people are a little bit more sensitive than others, and that's okay. And that's okay. Good communication works in learning how to speak or communicate with people in the way that they can receive it.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Some people respond well to direct, overt, um, in your face communication, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's fine. Where there's no judgment here, right? That
Right.
works. Some people don't respond to the direct, cold, calculated, in your face. They
Shut
that
down.
shies them. Yeah, yeah. They shut down. That shies them away.
Right.
Not everybody can handle that.
Yeah.
So now I think you can build people up to handle that once they know you're still coming from a place of love. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because
Right.
being direct is not wrong, and being direct and not wasting time is not wrong.
Right. Right.
But someone's got to be able to handle that for sure.
Correct.
Ooh, so this is a perfect segue. I love it. You you teed it up so well. You teed it up.
Yeah, that's what I
So
do.
um, this really sets up for homework really well,
Hmm.
really
Yep.
well. So if you're ready, and listeners, if you're ready, I'll go ahead and put that out there. I think what the homework should be is pay attention to the maturity level in your communication. And if you don't understand what I mean, the next time you're in conversation and communication with anyone, really pay attention to, are you trying to be right with what you're saying? Or are you coming from that place of love so that there's going to be understanding and actual listening?
Hmm.
Really pay attention to that, because that's what's going to get the best outcome for all parties involved, whether it's one-to-one communication or even group communication, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a perfect segue. I appreciate you teeing that up, man.
No problem.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so listeners, if you can't do the homework, she set you up. She set you up for that.
So yes, pay attention. Are you listening to respond? That's really what it's all about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, folks, we have thoroughly enjoyed spending part of your Wednesday with you. We hope you've enjoyed listening and spending it with us. Cruising with the Coaches can be found on Spotify, can be found on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. And once again, if you're doing the homework and you want to go ahead and interact with us, there is a link that you can leave a voice message, and we will make sure we do our best to get that on one of the episodes. Also, you could email at liveallgood44@gmail.com. Again, that's all one word, liveallgood44, the number 44 at gmail.com. You can stop by the Live All Good website, go to the podcast page, leave a comment on that page. We will definitely find it. We thoroughly appreciate you guys listening. Julie, any last thought you kind of want to leave our listeners with?
Honestly, no. I could just make sure you're listening. You're actually listening. That's it.
I love it. I loved the way you changed it and reframed it from active listening to actually listening, because that is so accurate.
It is.
All right, you guys, we appreciate it. So you can hear from us in another couple weeks. Make sure you are prepared on Wednesday. Come with the homework.
Thanks for listening.